Hello there, welcome to the Women Leading Show. This is your host, I'm Jabel Wintrott, coming to you from the beautiful sunny resort of Hove in East Sussex. It is the day 2 of lockdown in the UK. Not that these guys that are on the show today are bothered about that. Well, I'm sure you are bothered, but they're not in the UK with me at the moment. So very big welcome to our 2 guests today on the Women Leading Show. We have Gill Whitty-Collins coming from the beautiful, stunning place of Geneva. Welcome, Gill.
Hello, thank you. Lovely to be here.
Oh, thanks for joining us. We've been talking about lakes and all things water and skiing, but we'll come on to that in a bit. And we have Tania Adams, who is normally in Norway, but is actually in Ireland. You get around a bit, don't you, Tania?
I do. I love to travel. Absolutely.
Oh, well,
Hello, and
thanks. Yeah,
thank you for being here.
thanks for joining us this morning. So Tania is our guest author today. Tania is in the Women Leading book, which is basically what the show's about, obviously. And she's one of the incredible authors in this book that shared their story, their experience, and has given so much inspiration to so many people. And Gill is our guest, who actually is also an author, and she's written a fantastic book called Why Men Win at Work. Why Men Win at Work. So Gill is going to be talking about that a bit later on in the show. So thanks for joining us. Please put in your comments. We kind of get comments after the show, but I would really like it if people could put comments in. I know you have to be a member of StreamYard. I'm going to try and keep checking Facebook to see if comments come in. But please subscribe or follow us on all social media, and you'll be notified of our new kind of episodes coming up. And we do have some very exciting news today that I will start off by announcing. So this incredible book has become an international bestseller. Gill and I were talking earlier about books, and we both sort of agreed that actually the best thing about a book is the feedback you get. And when people actually write and say, or text, or just on social media say, oh my gosh, that was just what I needed to read. You've inspired me. I've changed my life. I am now doing whatever it is, or I now believe in whatever. And that is the most powerful part of creating something like this. And to be honest, I'm not really interested in numbers. And I know that sounds strange as a publisher. There's a lot of pressure to become best-selling this and best-selling that. But that is kind of logistics. But actually, the important thing is that it touches someone, that it helps change their life. And I know the feedback that we've all had, haven't we, Tania, about this book has been remarkable. And actually quite emotional, and has us all blubbing at times, the people that have written things in, because the stories have really moved people and changed people's lives, which is fantastic. But anyway, drums, exciting news. Our book is now available as an audiobook. Woohoo! Really exciting. I had to badger these guys, not Tania though, but a lot of these guys, but virtually, not quite everyone yet, but I'm working on it, but virtually pretty much everyone in this book has narrated their own chapter. We could have gone down the Audible route. However, these chapters are so personal, your stories are so personal in this book. I really wanted the authors to narrate them. And so I kind of suggested that we went down that road. And the best thing, instead of people having to buy it, times are a little tough for some people. They don't need to. It's free. It's on Spotify. It's on Google Podcasts, and it's in Anchor. And it's just the Women Leading show, and the Women Leading, sorry. So find it, listen to these incredible chapters. There we go. These incredible authors that have shared their inspiration for you to lead and lead now. I'm so excited about it. I'm really, really thrilled and can't wait to get the feedback on that. Okay, so let's come on to Tania. You are our guest author today, and I want to just talk about, you've got some amazing, you've shared your own experience, which most of us have, to be honest. We do that, don't we, when we write books like this? But actually, there's some incredible statements that you've written in the book. And I love the fact that can I bring you on to the first one that really jumped out for me when I read your chapter? Opening our heart and touching on our true essence gives us strength. And when we allow ourselves to feel the force within and connect with our nurturing instinct, this automatically opens up to a place of authentic self-expression. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Tell us more.
Oh gosh, how long do we have?
40 minutes.
Yeah. You know, it really is about us operating from our full potential, which is what I've expressed very strongly in the chapter. And it's about us being able to open our heart and to really touch on that inner essence that we all have. And everybody in the world has this inside of them. Nobody is excluded. No one. So we all have this incredible potential inside of us, but it's knowing how to draw that out. And when we learn the steps to be able to draw out our own potential, then we're able to really draw that out to the surface and increase our vibration, increase our results, and we operate from a much more effortless perspective. But it all comes down to, I believe it becomes down, and there's belief, I believe it comes down to a depth of understanding. And it's an understanding about humanity, how we operate ourselves for best results. So when we understand how we actually work as a human being, how we actually function, then as a result of that, we have the ability to consciously make new choices and to consciously change. So as a result of that, when we realize the greatness that we all are and that we all have inside of us, then we can draw out from ourselves. And it is about us being creators, and it's about co-creating with the energy that is available to all of us. And as a result of that, then we can live our true full expression. And of course, that's what I explained in the chapter, because for me, you know, 25, 26 years ago, I began the journey of self-discovery, self-expression. And, you know, I had some setbacks like most people in the world, things that were holding me back. One of the things that was really important to me was to be able to break through my self-expression so that I could become more confident with public speaking and being naturally self-expressed, to be my true self, really, not to try to think that I had to be anything else to be something. I already had it inside of me, as every single person does on the planet. So naturally, that's what I express in the chapter. And I broke through that through a personal story when I recited a poem on the tube in London on a busy Friday morning rush hour. And if you know London, then you know how packed the tube is at that time. It's like sardines. But for me, it was a way of shock treatment for me to be able to move through that, to move through the illusory restraints that were holding me back, and to be able to be self-expressed. And I actually recited a poem that I had written, which was all about philosophy, life, and inspiration. And it was such a long poem, but I knew it off by heart. And when I recited it on the tube, my adrenaline was going 10 to the dozen. But I didn't know I was going to walk through this tube that was packed like sardines. And I walked through the tube reciting this poem. Initially, I was nervous. I felt the adrenaline. But then I remember the moment when I broke through. And suddenly my vibration shifted and everything just became clear and calm. And then there was a whole new level of confidence and a whole new level of expression. And I knew that I had broken through. And that really was the seed of me then becoming all the more and uncovering whatever had been in the way, because we already are the perfect human being.
Wow. I mean, and what was the response of people? What were they kind of just...
It's a great question. It's a great question, because you can imagine it's, you know, everyone is reading the newspapers or, you know, at that time they were probably listening to their Walkmans at that time, because it was 26 years ago. The response was, some people looked at me and smiled and gave me an acknowledgement. Some people gave me a little wave. Some people gave a little silent clap. But quite a few people actually looked quite embarrassed as well, and they went red in the face. It was interesting to see the different expressions from people as to how they were feeling about what they were perceiving. So it was a bit of a combination, but really, you know, for me, it wasn't so much about that. It was more about me having the courage to be able to move through what was holding me back so that I could grow more to be my full potential. And I actually said to myself that I told 8 people that I was going to do this, because then I knew I had to do it. And I said to myself that I had to stay on when I finished for 3 stops. So I couldn't just run off, you know.
Yeah, right. Get the
I
hell
had
out
to
of
stay
there.
in the energy. I had to stay in the moment for 3 stops. And I did. I stayed, and I was just with the moment. I was in the moment. And then I stepped off the tube and I felt so good. I said, yes, I punched the sky, and I felt great as a result of doing it. So I knew then that there was so much, I put so much at stake, that I knew that if I could break through that I could do anything. You know, I knew then I could excel and I could grow and evolve, etc. And so I have. And hence
Fantastic.
I became a coach.
Yeah, right. And an author.
Yeah. And an author. Absolutely.
Fantastic. So
Absolutely.
my question to you would be, what I mean, I think actually for most women, self-expression in a louder form or a more public form is the biggest challenge.
Yeah.
And verbalizing, using your own true voice. But
Yes.
what helped you realize that was definitely the thing, and then identify that was what you needed to just face head on?
Well, I had begun a path of self-discovery at that stage. So I was very much a seeker. I was on a quest for the search for the discovery of myself, and being more fully self-expressed. And I, like I said at the beginning, I had setbacks. So I wasn't so confident, you know, there were things that were holding me back. And it's what I've learned so much more in my life now is that it's the illusory restraints that we have in our mindset. It's the programming that we have in our mindset that holds us back. So in order for me to be able to grow and thrive, it was a case of being able to move through what it was that was holding me back. And that's why I chose to do something so profound and shocking as just getting on a tube and reciting a poem to move through that. And how that helped me, Joe, is it helped me to realize, it was interesting actually, because initially when I did it, it caused a knock-on effect. When people heard about it, and other people told me, oh, I was so inspired about what you did. I proposed to my lady on the tube, and this happened very, very quickly. Then another person said to me, I was so inspired, I sang on the tube. And then somebody else said to me, oh, I just struck up a conversation with somebody on the tube, because, you know, people don't normally talk to each other, but I just started talking to somebody. And then this group were formed. They called themselves the Angels, and they used to go onto the tube every Saturday, and they used to just get onto the tube and connect with people and communicate with people, just to, you know, give a happy vibration and nice, easy conversation with people, so that people could come out of themselves. And this group of the Angels, I know it went on for quite some time, and no doubt that caused quite an incredible ripple effect as a result of that. So for me, it was a big change. I realized that I had the ability to be able to move through whatever could have been holding me back. And I continued to grow and evolve and move through whatever it was that may have been holding me back. What I've learned is that it's very much about the no self state. Yeah, when we're wrapped up in our own self and our own personality and our own identity, we give so much power into this, and that's what gets in the way of us just truly, fully, just being free and open and fully expressing. So I learned through my journey, and I've been privileged to work with some incredible teachers in life, and I learned about being able to just come out of the I, the identity, and to be able to open myself and to be fully expressed, because the energy will just power through us. That natural potential will just open up and it will just flow. And I think that for women, because we're particularly talking about women, obviously this is for everyone, but for women who want to be more self-expressed, it's to drop the personality, to drop the I. And yes, it's a practice, of course, but it's about being able to just be present in the moment, and to be able to express and to be able to go with the flow. It also helps enormously by having a mindset that is going to support that, of course. So we need to be thinking in a way that's going to support that as well. And also visualizing good pictures in our mind about ourselves as well. It all goes collectively. Did that answer your question?
It definitely did, and some. Yeah, no, right. And I think, well, it's so true, and it's such a common, we're all coaches, consultants here, mentors. It's the common theme, isn't it? Sadly, that, and we do have to generalize a bit on this show. It's the women leading show, but it is a common theme with women that we don't feel truly connected to ourselves, and we therefore hold back in being expressive, using our voice. And I have my own personal experience with this one, and I totally get where you're coming from, because but I think you do have to. I put myself on a stage and sang in a band, and that's what got me over it, because if I can do that, I was rubbish, but my very, very polite friends told me I was great, obviously. It didn't matter. It really didn't matter, because I needed to overcome, and I think you've really hit a nerve in your chapter to say that actually this is what you need to just step out of your comfort zone and just allow that connection and strength to come through. You and I are both very much into energy and feeling connected to the bigger picture, not just
Absolutely.
And God, doesn't everything, it's just everything comes down to being momentary, mindful, doesn't it?
Very much so. It really, really does. It's only us that gets in the way of ourselves. That's it.
Yeah.
If we can drop all of that those thoughts that are not serving us, and we can just be present, and then obviously think about thoughts that will serve us, and then just express, just flow, because it always comes through. That's the thing about it. It always comes through. And it's incredible what it is. When I say comes through, I mean it always expresses through us when we allow ourselves to be self-expressed. And it's incredible, actually, what it is that actually comes through us at times. And you think, wow, where did that come from? But that's when we're open channels. And I believe that pure intelligence just expresses through us. And everybody has the ability to be able to do this. Everybody.
Yeah, wonderful. Oh, I love it. I've just had a flashback to when you and I first spoke, Tania. And we had a half an hour call in the diary, and I think 2 hours later we were still talking about this whole topic.
Absolutely.
It's huge, and we are part of a much, much bigger, broader, wider, connected, deeper, higher picture. And when we realize that, we can create that. And also there's another thing that you mentioned then that I want to talk about, that obviously Dr. Alessandra Waugh, another author from our book, talks about this as well, is that obviously you do need to take action. You could do all the mindset work on the planet with the very best coaches, and there are two amazing coaches here, and all of that, but still you have to take action.
Absolutely.
You can't just go, all right, okay, yeah, got that, totally understand that. You've got to do that thing that steps out of your zone and say, right, onwards, upwards. And by doing that is amazing, fantastic. Honestly, it's just I've been on the tube, bonkers busy, like a sardine. And if someone had done that, I was thinking, as you were telling your story again, and I have heard it before, I was thinking, I wonder how I would have reacted. I'll tell you what I would have first done. I would have thought, oh my God, I can't believe she's doing that. And I would have been the person that read a little bit to start with, because that's my old British family values. But the new me, this me now, would have then thought, bloody hell, and I would have been clapping the loudest. I would have been screaming and woohoo, because actually now the me now, this me, and not the old me that had the values from my West Country very reserved background, it would have just felt such joy for you and celebrated with you. So, I gotta get all hot talking about these exciting things. So, oh, it's fantastic. So, for anyone listening, we're going to come on to Gill now, but for anyone listening who can relate to your story, Tania, and for any women who are struggling with self-expression, can you give your best tip or your best kind of do this or do these few things to help yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said at the beginning, I always believed from my own self-growth and development, it really came down to an understanding. And I think when we understand our own potential and we understand how the mind works, how our energy works, how the incredible power that we have available to all of us. I think when we have that level of understanding and we realize what incredible creative and powerful creatures we are, then it's like an awakening. It's like, wow, aha, wow, my gosh, I have this incredible potential. And then it's knowing how to channel our potential. It's knowing that it's really important to think your thought process in the direction that's going to serve you. Because whatever we put our thoughts to, whatever we put our attention on, we're giving it energy and empowering it, and we're recreating that. So I think when people realize that, and I think a lot of it comes down to a depth of understanding, it's to really understand that. So absolutely understand that you are an incredible power energy source of light and intelligence, and every single person has this gift on the universe. Nobody is separate. We're all connected. And it's about talking to yourself in a positive way as well. That's a huge part of it as well. So speak to yourself positively, trust yourself. Draw out that courage to be able to want to move forward and move through something, because it's all an illusion anyway. The only thing that's really true is right here, right now, us having this chat on the show and the people that are tuning in or listening in. We can think about things, but that's just a thought. So get an understanding, an understanding of your true potential, your human potential, that you have that, and talk to yourself in a positive way. So I think that language is huge. It's very, and we'll talk more about that shortly. And have better pictures in your mind. Better pictures means see yourself succeeding more, see yourself in a more of a successful sense of what it is you're looking to create and achieve. And I think attitude of gratitude is a very important thing for everybody to do, because it changes our energy, it shifts our energy. So if you can be grateful and count your blessings for what you do have, because we tend to look at what we don't have or what's wrong. And if you can actually dive into yourself and look at what you do have and look at your own greatness. And I talk about this in my chapter about you waxing lyrical about yourself to yourself, because this has an incredible impact on how you increase your vibration and you express your natural energy and life force. And I mean, there's many steps, but
so many women do that. And some of you authors did, not you obviously, but a lot of the authors. Well, oh, do I have enough to say to be in a book? Is my story important enough? Negative, and it's the biggest thing, isn't it?
Absolutely, it's
huge.
It's
so powerful. Thank you so much, Tania Adams. We're going to hear more from Tania very soon when we start talking about our topic of today, self-belief. But before we do, I'd love to introduce Gill Whitty-Collins, coming to us from Geneva today, originally from near Liverpool. Not Liverpool, near Liverpool. She's there's a reason. Keynote speaker, a brand architect, which I love that, gender equality warrior, and you have written an incredible book called Why Men Win at Work.
Let's flash him up.
There it is. There's the physical proof. So brilliant book, Gill. And as I said to you before, I love a cheeky title. And I love a title that you just go, well, hold on a minute, or what does that mean? Or a reactionary title. The book I'm creating at the moment is called, just a very tiny plug, Being Fine, the other F word, being fine. We need to sort of just be kind of reacting, don't we, and actually digging and delving into why this is. So one of your amazing things that you talk about in the book is how, and this jumped out for me, but how you used to not recognize or understand women that were struggling with equality, because you were blessed to be brought up in an environment where you were nurtured to believe in exactly what you could do. So tell us more about that, and obviously more about your brilliant book.
Yes, I mean, as I say, I am kind of ashamed to admit that I was, as I say, one of those women. one of those women for a long time who I saw. It's not that I wasn't aware of gender equality issues and barriers. Of course I was, but I was lucky that for a very long time they didn't really personally affect me, and I didn't really feel like they were holding me back. So I was probably more dismissive of it than I should have been. And I was very lucky. For a long time I was the third of three sisters. My dad was a feminist, whether he wanted to be or not. I went to a mixed comprehensive school where I did well. Never occurred to me to question whether I was equal to a boy or a man. Just never occurred to me. And then I went to work at Procter & Gamble. I was there for 26 years, and it's overall a very, very good company, very well intended on gender equality. And I was in a kind of job, in the marketing job. I was working on amazing brands like Olay, Always, and Pantene. Love those brands to this day. And in that function, it was very much a 50-50 female male culture. So if anyone was dominating the culture, it was the women, it was me. So it was really only once I got to the senior vice president level and I really entered a male dominant culture for the first time in my life. And that's when I realized that, okay, this is definitely, there are definitely barriers here. And that was when I really I became quite fascinated by it, but also that was when I realized, shame on you, you've not been listening carefully enough to other women. Because if a woman, even if you haven't experienced it yet, I say to any women out there who haven't, you will. If you keep going in your career, you will. And when other women tell us that these are issues for them, I think we need to listen and absolutely not negate that. So I've had my epiphany.
Well, we're glad you have, because also you've gone on to write this incredible book. Tell us about the book and your purpose and the kind of the messages that are hidden within that wonderful book.
Yeah, so as I said, once I entered this male dominant culture and I started to see some really interesting dynamics, and see how they were affecting women and affecting their performance, I became very fascinated by it. That was my reaction, was fascination. So I started to read everything, books, articles. I devoured information about it, and that made me realize just the huge extent of it. This wasn't me, it wasn't the women around me, this wasn't my company. This was happening to women everywhere, every company, every organization, every society, every country in the world. And realizing that this incredible truth that we're 50% of the population. We absolutely have equal intelligence, equal competence, equal leadership ability, equal everything. And yet men have 90+% of the leadership of the world, of the power of the world in any, sports, politics, business, wherever. And realizing that and thinking, wow, that is incredible that we actually just accept that as normal. That's not cool. And that's when I made myself a promise that, when I leave this job, when I leave this company, I will write a book about this. I have to write a book about this, actually. And so I did. So I left 2 years ago, and I very much wanted to write a different kind of book about gender equality. There are some brilliant books out there, as you know. I've not read them all, but I've read a lot. But I wanted to come at it, with a different approach. I really wanted to come at it, not just as a book that's written for people who are already, feminist, who are already converted, who already get it, whether they're men or women, but also for people who, maybe they have what I call feminist phobia, and they actually back away from this issue and don't want to be associated with it for lots of reasons, or they're men who are afraid of it because it's got a lot of baggage and they kind of think, oh. And I do think a lot of the books written on this are quite alienating to men. even as a woman, I can feel that. You know, I read them, and page 3, I'm thinking, if I was a man, I would be I would have put this down, and never gone near it again. So I wanted to write something different that was really for everyone. You know, whatever your gender, whatever your start point is on the gender equality issue, this book will take you by the hand and take you on the journey of understanding it is an issue. It's actually a huge opportunity. It's a huge opportunity for businesses, for society, for the world. And what it really does is gets into why I didn't want it to just be, you know, a data dump. There's obviously a lot of data in there to prove the point, but it goes beyond that. What I was really fascinated by was the why. Why does it happen? What's the psychology? What are those real deep, complex, invisible, unconscious things that are happening that even well-intended people, well-intended men, who absolutely would consider themselves non-sexist, are doing, that are creating barriers every single day in the workplace. So I wanted to really get into the why. And there are lots of reasons why, obviously, because I believe that if you want to fix a problem, we really do need to fix this, you have to understand why it happens, and you have to understand quite deeply why it happens. So it really goes there. So I think it's a different take on it, a different way in, and hopefully it can, you know, build on all of the stuff that people are doing to actually get us some progress and some change, because I think we desperately need it.
Yeah, and the thing I love is that there's no judgment, you know, because that's what the problem with feminism. Our last but one show was about feminism, and it was incredible, the conversation, actually, because there is so much judgment. Feminism has given kind of almost the permission to be judgmental on equality, and actually, where does that get us? Not very far.
No,
You know, that's what we've been doing, and look how far it's got us. It's got us nowhere. So that was part of the point of the book, really, the Women Leading book, is to encourage men to come in as authors as well, create the conversation to make those changes. And I'm really proud of our male authors who have actually really identified some key areas that they recognise as men, but also leaders, that need to change. So why do men win at work, and what can women do to help with that? Because, you know, let's talk about going forward.
Yeah, so why do men win at work? Obviously, I've written 200 pages on this, so it's a big question, but actually, you can summarize it quite simply. You know, the simple answer is that when a person makes a decision about who to give a job or a promotion to, and in unfortunately more cases than not, he chooses a man, the reason is that that person believes the man is better. They believe the man is better. They believe the man is a stronger performer. They believe the man will perform better in the role, the job or the role or the prime minister position or the presidential position. So the question, and by the way, it's not just men who make that decision. So the question really is, why is that? Because we know from all the data that obviously sometimes the man is better, right? But the man isn't better 90% of the time. That cannot be true when you look at the data on, you know, female intelligence, male versus male intelligence, competence, leadership. It cannot be possible that the man is virtually always the better choice. So really what we need to understand is, why then does it happen that despite, you know, let's say on average equal competence, we believe is better? And there are, I mean, so many reasons why that happens. You know, I talk about the invisible power of culture and how that affects how people perform. You know, if you belong in a culture and you're comfortable in a culture, you can perform. And if you don't, it's impossible for you to perform at your peak. So if you're in a male dominant culture and you're not a man, you're not going to perform as well. So people will perceive you as not as strong. It's not that you're not as strong, you're just not as comfortable. I talk about the competence versus confidence equation and how powerful confidence is. And, you know, we all love confidence. We all love a confident person. We all choose confident people. And the problem is obviously that in general, for lots and lots of reasons, women are less confident than men. So we can miss a more competent person. Dog's thrown me there. More competent person because they're less confident, and we can choose confidence over competence. And then, you know, there's what I call the umbrella theory, and the fact that women believe in the myth of meritocracy and men know that's nonsense, and that you also have to work on your visibility and your network and your human relations performance currency, as well as relationship currency is what you have to add. And the umbrella theory talks about that and how we all have to come out from under the umbrellas that we work under. And, you know, obviously also the, you know, reason that women are not so invested in networking and self-marketing being, it's not just that they hate it and they don't think it should be necessary. They also have less time because they're carrying 80% plus of the unpaid work at home, even if they have careers. So tons and tons of things that combine to make us conclude more often than not that the man is better, when actually probably 50% of the time the data would say there was a woman who should have got that job, but we just didn't see it. But to your point, you know, just to finish on that, so important that, you know, the male point, and so important that we've attached so much baggage to this, to feminism and to gender equality that has nothing to do with it, and it has damaged us. It's damaged the cause. It stops people talking about it. It makes people roll their eyes. People should not be rolling their eyes when we're trying to have a conversation about people having equal opportunity. Just equal opportunity. That's all. Just having the absolute equal playing field in this world. Nobody should be rolling their eyes about that. And so I think keeping men on board with us and part of the solution is so important. Not alienating with them with all that rubbish. And, you know, they've got, let's face it, men have 90% plus of the power in the world. So if men aren't bought in on this and with us, we're going to get nowhere.
Yeah, and the good news is obviously they are, but we have to stop with the finger wagging, as I call it, you know, which has really not got us anywhere. So what we're talking about then, Gill, is basically responsibility for our own actions, beliefs, and obviously how we sell ourselves as women, and then also reaction and response in those environments. And as you rightly said, we are talking about the female hierarchy that aren't employing women when they could. It's not just men. So it's responsibility is the thing I'm hearing from you, is that we need to take more responsibility for the fact that we're not showing up fully. And obviously this is my area of a field of expertise, really, is that we're not showing up properly. We're not showing up as our true selves confidently, and therefore we're being assessed on what we show up as, which isn't our true selves, and therefore the decisions aren't being made. You know, I think that it's the stats are fascinating, but in some ways underneath it all, they don't ever represent all of this, do they? Because they're not really describing and analysing that ultimately, if you want someone to do a job, you want someone to do it who really believes in themselves, and you think you can hand it over to them. Obviously, it depends on what the job is and what you're asking for within that employment. But yeah, it's fantastic. And obviously having, you know, I've worked in large corporates and various different organisations, but P&G obviously is huge. So what was it like being a female leader? And I don't mean this specifically aimed at P&G, but obviously there are lots of women leading that watch our shows, and they are intrigued, as are our male leaders of big corporations that listen to this show or watch this show. So what is your take on all of that, you know, and how does that need to change? Because I've got my own views, but I want to hear what are your views on that?
You know, I think I can speak for women in any who've been in any organization. When a culture is not dominated by one group, it's a fantastic place to work. you know, and I think that that's the key, really. I think what every organization should strive for is trying to avoid having any culture be dominated by anybody, any type, because then everybody can belong. So, you know, for a very, very long time, I found it a fantastic place to work. For me, the issue became when, you know, as with virtually every company on the planet, at the very senior levels, it's the men who are dominating for all of those reasons we've talked about. They're the ones who've got most of those senior roles. The culture becomes dominated by men. They're not bad men, they're not badly intended men, but it's just extremely difficult as a woman to really perform and stay true to yourself, to the conversation that you guys were having earlier, and you know, to bring yourself authentically, and for that to be valued and leveraged, and to try and avoid that temptation to fit in. So I do, you know, to come back to your point, I really think it is a shared responsibility. It's absolutely a responsibility, I think, of for women. I am the last person who dumps this on women and says, yeah, here's your list of things to do that you need to do to win in this man's world, because there are some serious things that men need to do, and some serious things that businesses need to do, and some work they need to do on their culture. But yeah, absolutely, it's a shared responsibility. I do think that women can be more savvy about some things, and also just more aware. People say to me, you know, oh, Gill, I wish I'd read your book 10 years ago. And I say, my love, I wish I'd read my book 10 years ago. Because
yeah, right.
I do think that one of the massive things we can do for, you know, the women coming up behind us is just raising their awareness of, there are just some realities, they're just some human, they're not evil. There are some just realities of barriers and things that, you know, are important, that you might not like that they're important, like networking, but they are. And just being aware and ready for them, because then you'll be able to deal with them better. So I just think we all have work to do.
Definitely, we sure do. Continuous journey, isn't it? And obviously that brings us nicely onto our topic today. And you know, it's been fantastic hearing all of this already, but it's warmed us up to this huge topic of self-belief. Self-belief comes with so many complications. But the point both of you have hit on, which is jumping up for me, is awareness. And it's the awareness of it, isn't it, that allows us then to step over it and forward. So what would be your, with all your research and with your thoughts, Gill, and then we'll come on to you, Tania, self-belief, what does that need to look like, do you believe, in today's world for women?
I mean, I think the key thing for me is it's got to be real, not a performance. And I think that's really always been true, and it's absolutely true today. I think it comes back to what we were saying. There is a reality that we love confident people. We like it. People who project confidence inspire confidence. We're not. You said it, Joe. We can't be confident in somebody who isn't confident in themselves. So I think, you know, as women, we need to understand that confidence isn't a bad thing. It's not something we should be irritated by. It's a human reality that we are all attracted to, and that means that we all just have to work on our own confidence. And I deeply believe that everybody, no matter how battered they're feeling emotionally, has what I call a confident core, you know, like an apple. No matter how bruised it is and soft on the outside, it's got a confident core. And I really believe that all of us just need to do that work on ourselves, on just step back, look inside, find your confident core, really think about what are my unique strengths and talents, my unique combination of strengths and talents. I'm a massive fan of Strengths Finder. That's a tool that I always use, you know, as a coach. What are my unique strengths and talents? You know, those things that if somebody challenges me, no matter how down I'm feeling, I go, no, actually, I know that I'm good at that. I know that is my thing. Go there, know that, own that, and always speak from that place, because that's genuine. That is your true, genuine, authentic, confident core. That is your self-belief. And if you speak from there, you'll project confidence because you are confident. It's genuine, it's authentic. And then you will inspire confidence. Don't worry about the things you're not good at. Strengths Finder tells you everyone's got a bottom 5. Everybody has a bottom 5. Don't waste it. Don't waste time on it. Get someone else to do that. Focus on your strengths, confident core. Speak from there, and people. You know, you've talked about energy, Tania. People will feel that energy and that authenticity, and they'll respond.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's got a lot of it is about doing what you know you're good at and what you feel you're compelled to do, isn't it? And I call it Dharma. Well, it's been called Dharma for centuries, but it's your Dharma. It's your purpose for being here. And if you start working with that, and I know you guys are, can't you hear? I can hear it in someone's voice when they're working with their true purpose in life. Because even though there are some people that might think, well, I don't understand what you do, or actually it doesn't matter, because if you're living your truth of doing what you believe in, and Jo Sumner, one of our hosts who's normally here, her work is all about self-belief, and it comes back to what do you actually do with your day? Are you truly fulfilling your strengths? Are you nurturing them? And then life does change. And yesterday I was on a call with someone for 2 hours, and she's spending most of her time doing something she doesn't feel strong within, because it's not her thing. It's not her creative part.
Her confident core.
It's not her confident core, which is a phrase I'm going to use for forever now. So thank you for that one, Jill.
You're so right, though, Jo. The voice changes. People's voice changes when they come from there.
Completely.
Yeah, because we start using a different part of the body, because it comes from within. It doesn't come from up here, which is what we taught like when we well, that's what women do. Okay. But a TED talk I was at recently in TEDx Lambeth, they will be online soon. Oh gosh, I've forgotten his name. The very first speaker, he spoke about, where do you speak from? Where does your voice come from? And he talked about his incredible knowledge about where your voice comes from, and how you speak will be reflective of where you think of yourself. And if you don't feel connected with your core, physical core within yourself, your voice will portray that. And that's definitely a personal journey that I've done. Let's come on to Tania, because I know I can see we're both like nodding dogs, aren't we? Because we really are totally with you, Jill, all the way. So self-belief, Tania. What was your thoughts and message for women that watching this show?
Well, first of all, I just want to say what you talked there about the voice, because I absolutely noticed, heard, and felt the resonance of the vibration change in my voice when I recited the poem on the tube. I absolutely connected with the moment it switched, and it's an internal shift. That's what it is, and then everything changes from there. So absolutely, the voice is huge. I think, there's so many factors that come into it, but, to believe in ourselves, to empower ourselves, to know that we are capable of achieving the more, whatever that may be for us, and trusting ourselves is a huge part of it. It really, really is. I trust in myself that I can do this. And I think also when we hold that space for other people, and we say, I believe in you. I believe you have what it takes. I believe you can do this. That's so encouraging. That really lifts us up. It's like being a child, and having the guidance of parents throughout our life. And if the parents really believe in the child, and they speak positively to them and encouragingly to them, what's that going to do for them? It's going to help them to believe in themselves. It's going to strengthen their mindset. It's going to help them to feel more empowered and at ease in life. And that's the same for us as human beings, where most people are mentally scarred because of X, Y, Z. It's about believing in ourselves and believing in each other. And we can make such a difference to somebody else when we hold that space for another person. And if they know that we've got their back as well. The universe has your back. That's a great book as well. And that's exactly how it is. So that self-belief, the trust in ourselves, having the faith, and it may be that you have a faith in whether it's God, whether it's religion, whether it's, life, universe, energy, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. But just having a realization that we are part of a greater energy, a greater force. You know, when you think about humanity, we're incredible, intelligent beings here on this planet. And think about how we operate and that unconscious energy that runs through us. You know, we don't have to think about blinking our eyes. We don't have to think about pumping our blood or beating our heart, or nature grows automatically. The sun comes out every day, the moon comes out at night. It's an automatic function, and that's the unconscious intelligence of life that we're all connected to. So if you can understand that we are parts, we're all connected, there's no separation. And it's that unity in coming together in unison, empowering each other. That really helps by empowering each other and holding that space. I talked about mindset because mindset is huge. It is our greatest asset, our mind. And the mechanics of successful thinking has been around for thousands of years. It's not something new. It's just that it hasn't really been mainstream, although it is becoming a lot more known about now, and people are waking up more to discover their own potential. And our mindset is crucial, because there's so much emphasis on, you know, what is the next iPhone? What is the next computer, for example, and artificial intelligence, which is all great. It's all fantastic what we're creating. But what about upgrading our own selves? What about upgrading our own human potential? Yeah. And really delving deep into our own selves and what we can draw out from within. And when we are creators, and we can co-create with the energy, and it's about creating what we want and thinking about what we want, but not what we don't want. Too many people think too often about what they don't want to happen. And if people really understood that your thought process, your programming in your mind, which is like a computer, it's like a hard drive, and the software we have is the conditioning and the programming that we've received throughout our life until now. If we realized that we are operating from 95% unconscious and 5% conscious, and it is our autopilot that is running the show, then it's really time for a wake-up call for everybody to realize their potential and start thinking about what you do want to happen. Put your attention on what you do want to happen, because when we put our thought process and our attention on what we do want to happen, we focus and we concentrate on that, there's an energy and a power that supports that. And it brings that about. It's a natural law. It just happens.
And that's when the magic happens.
And that's when the magic happens,
as I call it. Yeah. Because you're connected. You're actually tuning in like a radio station.
That's exactly
you're tuning in to the right frequency for you in this moment in time. And that's when you have your ultimate power, I think.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, and that I mean, obviously what we haven't really delved into when we are, you know, won't have time today, but what we haven't delved into is how we do that, because who's done therapy and lots of work on getting over that? You know, I definitely have. And I know most of my friends in myself, in fact, I absolutely believe every single person in my close tribe of friends now has done work on themselves, and I mean that by they've dug deeper, and they've got, you know, I've done Reiki training, and I've done meditation, Buddhism, experiential learning, and all sorts of sound therapy, voice coaching. I've done all that, and that's all helped. So we've got to invest. It's all well and good investing in all these whizzy coaching programs. And you know, I can't remember the figures, but you know how many women and the amount they invest is about 30K. The average woman progressing into an entrepreneurial kind of path invests about 30K in all these online programs and do this, do that. But if you don't work on the personal journey you've had, because our three personal journeys and the problem, or I call it the kryptonite that we've had to get rid of in our lives will be completely different. And you could listen to Tony Robbins for the next 10 years of your life, but actually, unless you really, and this is Joe Sumner's work for sure again, unless you really delve into what is your own kryptonite, what does that look like, what do you need to do to release that, you're always going to come up against it, sadly, aren't you? Because it just jumps up. It's really annoying, you know. You just thought, oh, I'm good, and suddenly there it is again, and it's pulling you down. Fantastic. Wow. So as we come to the end of the show, unfortunately, what an incredible conversation. And thank you so much to both my guests. So Gill Whitty-Collins, coming to us from Geneva, the author of Why Men Win at Work. A lot of W's in that, Gill, but I love it. Why Men Win at Work. A fantastic book available on Amazon. So get that now. And also, obviously, my co-author and fellow now co-audio person. Yeah. That wasn't very official, was it? But the Women Leading book is now available on Spotify, on Anchor.fm, and on Google Podcasts. And you can listen to us authors talking about our chapters, because Gill, this is your next job, I think, isn't it, to get your book?
I know, I have to record it. I have to get some pillows up in the office, get it recorded.
Yeah, you need to wrap yourself under a duvet with a cord, like you're camping. But you know, it's quite a challenge, I think, narrating your own chapter, but actually it's a joy as well, because you suddenly really get underneath, and like you're saying, Tania, you connect with the energy of those words, and there's something very magical. Audible books and audio books have never been more popular. So it's really exciting for our book to take on this next phase of being out there, really. So any last tips for anyone, to either of you? One last quick sentence. Self-belief, what can we do? Gill?
Spend some time finding your confident core. I promise you it's there.
Go for your confident core, dig it out. We've all got one.
There.
Speak from your confident core. Love it. Tania?
Yeah, not the confident call there. I'd like to say it's also about the confidence. I think also is about being comfortable in your own skin. I think that's just another way of saying it as well, because I think sometimes people have a little bit of a thing about confidence. They're like, it's not the right word for everybody. So I think often it can be confidence, being comfortable in your own skin, and communication for your own self-talk in your own mind, which is like neuroscience has proven about 60,000 thoughts go through our mind on a daily basis. So think good thoughts, speak positively to yourself. Yeah, wax lyrical to yourself.
Absolutely.
Be your best.
Tania's writing her book. You can tell, can't you? She's got.
It's coming. You know, I have the title. I have the title.
Oh, that's a good start. Mind you, I'm always changing my titles, but fantastic. And I would just say, to add to the self-belief, and the reason why you're here is uniquely to you. That's all you need to believe in, and trust it. And you're not meant to be like your mum, like your brother, like your dad, like your best friend. You're just meant to be like you. So be that, and then live your life how you want to. That's the best way to self-believe, in my opinion. Thank you so much, guys. This is the Women Leading Show. Please follow us. Please subscribe to the channels. And we look forward to seeing you again soon for our author special. All of the authors, hopefully, will come together and do a special show where we're going to talk about each other's chapters and about the whole equality movement. I'm really excited about that before Christmas. So take care, everyone. Thanks for joining us, and see you soon. I'm Jo Baldwin-Trott. Take care.
Thank you.